Let's start. Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to go over sales for strategy when you are selecting a property you want to rehab. The reason, the background is, as most of you know, like I started in wholesaling and then I slowly moved to flipping. But when that transition wasn't happening, I was always like not really sure, how to pick a winning property in the sense like wholesaler want to sell the property and make his commission today. So he'll tell you the best comps and say like, oh, this is how much you will be paying, you will be able to sell. So give me this money. When you go to the lender, they'll always come up with, okay, the agent comp is good, like the wholesaler comp is good last year, not this year. So this is how much you should buy it for. So that kind of caused my confusion. Like I'm like, no, this is something that I need to learn. Because one, in this business of flipping, you need to treat yourself as an investor and you're not going to do anything other than finding a property, finding money. That's it. Everything else has to be managed by other people. And to do that, as an investor, you need to have a process where you can filter the bad deals out or pick the good deals and take it to the professionals so that they need to be excited, thinking like, okay, he at least didn't want me to educate him how to get the deal, how to find a good deal, but he did the homework and he's getting me the good deal. Let me see what I can do. So that is the whole process of. It took me like 1.5 year, and then finally once I figured it out like last year, around like June, July, I started buying properties one after the other. So far, I sold like six in last 12 months, and I have five more in progress. But even in these 11, one actually is giving me challenge right now because on that particular property, I went with the price rather than sticking to my process. So we'll just go through everything and I'll also show that property that I'm talking about. And then hopefully you guys can save some time in that. Hey, Angel. Okay, so before we start, the regular disclaimers. This presentation is only for educational purpose only. This is something I went through my journey and my learnings, but this is not a financial, legal, or tax or investment advice. You always need to get the professional advice before you start investing in your own markets. And every market is different. I try to generalize as much as I can, but most of the content that I'm talking about is applicable for Tampa Bay market. Results are not guaranteed as in any scenario because flipping is a speculative business in the sense like there is no end buyer when you are locking up a deal. So you don't know how much the end buyer is going to pay or what they're going to like. So you need to understand what is important to sell a property in a market, and then based on that, you need to uh, figure out which property you need to pick. And always consult with licensed professionals like your agent, contractor, lender, or attorney before you continue anything that we are covering today. So the agenda will be why sales first, and then we'll talk about what is a buy box and how to define your own buy box. And then I go to the core of the presentation, which is called sales velocity, how you can determine the velocity of a particular neighborhood using Zillow. You don't need paid tools or you don't need AI. You can do it with a free hand tool in Zillow. And then I'll also cover the core team that you need to be working with. Then we will go about how to determine the ARV of the property by going conservative numbers and then making an offer. Because every wholesaler or the agent who is bringing you the deal, if they know like you're an investor and you're trying to buy, they'll always try to give you the rosiest comps. But you have, I try to show like a pattern, like how to, identify something that is more realistic that you'll be able to sell in future once you're done with the flip in 6 to 8 months. After that, we'll go through some of the deals that I have in my system. And if any of you have a deal that you're currently working on, or you just want to, see how that fits in this sales bus strategy, we can always go through that. I'm not able to see the chat. If you guys have any questions, just stop me and ask the question, and we'll go after answering the question. So the expectation of this presentation is you haven't done a single flip, and you know that flipping works, but you don't know the starting point or how to build your own pipeline of deals. And you want to know the why behind the strategy and not just the checklist. After the presentation, my hope is that you will have a framework about why property matters less than the neighborhood that you're buying the property in, and the exact roles and professionals you need to line up before you start analyzing a deal, and a repeatable filter of like buy box and sales velocity and saying no faster than saying yes. Right. So currently, the Tampa Bay market is like the overall flipping market in US is like 8% of the houses that are sold in US right now, the sold in Q1 2026. Only 8% of them are done by flippers. Everything else are the remaining 92% are regular retail sellers trying to list their houses to sell to the other buyers. Typical ROI is around like 25.4%, and gross profit before the rehab and carrying cost is like 66,000. This data we got it from Atom, ATTOM. Atom is one of the industry publication where they track all this data and try to list. In my understanding, they are not just going through the property records and identifying like which properties are being bought and sold in LLC, and they're coming up with this number. So basically, they're doing like sale price minus purchase price. That's how they're coming. So if you do that, obviously this number is not the actual reflection of how much a flipper or investor is going to make money. That should be much less than this. And the typical median sale price is like $403,000, right? So as I was explaining earlier, like flipping is a speculative business. When you buy, there is no end buyer. So that doesn't mean like, this is not a predictable business model, but it's rather you need to have a system in place where you avoid which buyers typically don't want to buy. In the sense like, because you're buying to flip, your goal is to pay less, uh, remodel the house or rehab the house and sell it for a higher price so that you can make a difference as a profit, because the whole project is like 6 to 8 months. So the typical process, the steps in the whole flipping business is like acquisition, rehabbing, and disposition. As an investor, your role is to work mainly in the acquisition side, where you will be networking with the wholesalers and agents, try to get the leads, have a system in place, use the system to filter out the deals, and then pick the right ones, and then talk to the contractor and the agent to figure out how much you need to pay for that property. And then uh, once the wholesaler is ready to sell the property to you, you go ahead and lock it up, purchase the property with hard money lender, rehab, and then list it and sell it. Like any business, flipping needs a plan, repeatable process, and capital in place to make a successful exit. Since flipping is like a speculative business, you can't really read buyer's mind. So, for example, like one of the house that we are able to sell in St. Pete for like after listing it for 2 days, and we got the full asking price. The initial feedback we got was it's a two-floor house. You have the first floor where you have a kitchen and two bathrooms, and then you have a primary bedroom and a bathroom in the second floor. Most of the people liked the designs that we put in there, but some of them said like, even though the house looks good, but we feel like the design is little not to our liking. We really need a little bigger house. That is something you cannot control, like because when you're buying, There are certain things which you can change. There are certain things which you cannot change in a house, especially the layout or the size of the house or the way it was structured or something like that. But the things that you can control are always like the the level of finishes you're putting into the house to make it uh, make the buyer get that wow feeling the moment they step into the house. So that's why like you always need to have the buy box that defines the deals worth your time before you ever take a look at the house. And then sales velocity tells if the buyer actually wants in the neighborhood right now or not. And then your team, like which roles you need to keep working and make sure like even some of these people all the time, even if you're working with them for like 2 3 years, some of them may get burned out, and then they start they are not responding to you as much as they used to be. So in that case, you need to have a reliable process where you can replace that person with somebody else who's active in the market. So I'll try to cover that, especially for the agents, in my presentation. So building buy box. So buy box is more like telling the wholesaler what you don't want in a property. For example, my buy box is like this. Like I will only look at properties that are in Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. I had to put this restriction because I'm working with a contractor named Alex. Alex has crews and he can take up jobs in both Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. If I pick up a property in Pasco, I need to double check with him. He can go up to Lutz, but beyond that, he's not interested because it is too far for him and he lives in Brandon. So it has the practical issues for him. And I don't want to buy anything in flood zones. In the sense, like the reason why I had to have this is one, I learned it from when we were doing wholesaling, and builders really didn't want to touch properties in other than they're in like Zone X. Then when I started flipping, then I realized like when you're selling the house, people they are going if they're going for the loan, sometimes they may not be able to qualify for the loan because the property is in flood zone and the property insurance is so high that their income is not meeting the mortgage application requirement and they back out. And you will not know about this until you're under contract after the inspection period and the loan processing is happening. That is when this will come out. So that will eat up 30 to 40 days of your time. And after that, you still have to cancel the contract, put the house back on the market. It will waste a lot of your time. So I decided like, it is better I filter this out instead of worrying about what will happen after I put it in market. And I also don't want to buy anything in busy roads or major thoroughfares because any property that is close to busy road, families with younger kids, they really don't want to buy that house. One, and also the old people, they don't want to keep listening to the vehicle noise going outside. So people really prefer which are little inside the neighborhoods, which are away from the busy roads. So this also helps me filter out a lot of deals for me. And also like one point to note is like you don't get quality leads around the year. Like usually during Q3 and Q4 and Q1 is when you get quality leads in the sense like the deals that are coming to your inbox, they are priced right for an investor to buy because they are not good for retail buyer, and also retail market is kind of slowing down once the schools are open. But if you're looking at deals in summer, especially like like from March to August, a lot of wholesalers will try to send deals because they need to make some money every month, and they will try to lock up a deal which is already listed in market, and that is more like a retail market, and those numbers will not work for you, but they still send you anyway because you have a relationship with them and they just need to make some money no matter what. So that's why I started filtering as much as I can. And one of these four, usually helps me to filter out at least 90% of the deals that are coming into my inbox. I also try to avoid anything close to commercial or apartment or strip mall or cemeteries. In the sense, like if the property is adjacent to a strip mall or next to a auto repair shop, something like that, people really don't prefer to buy those houses. If you end up getting into a deal because it is priced cheap, you may have to budget for extra 2, 3 months in the back end. And whenever you have to go above the median 90 days in market, the agent that you're listening with, they'll always tell you to reduce the price to attract more buyers. So that will eat up into your profit. That's why I try to have a clear buy box before even I look into a particular deal. So I think some of you are not here. So especially like Jenny and Shaker. Shaker is in Atlanta and Jenny is in Broward County. So all you need to do is like whatever works in your market, you try to create a buy box based on that. But try to say what are the deal breakers in your buy box. Once you have that, it'll be easy for you to manage the flow of the deals that are coming in. And one more thing is like I find these wholesalers by just replying to their posts in their Facebook groups. So like if you go to Facebook and groups and you look for like Broward County fix and flip, Broward County wholesale, Broward County investor deals, something like that. You will see a lot of wholesalers are trying to push their deals or trying to build their buyers list by posting deals there. If you just respond to that saying that, hey, this is my email ID, can you please add this email ID to your buyers list? You will start getting all the emails every day. Okay. After the presentation, I'll show you the tool that I use to manage all these leads. But that tool fundamental is starts with buy box and then it goes to the sales velocity check. Any questions so far? Okay. So now comes to the core of the whole presentation. This is called sales velocity. So this sales velocity defines the neighborhood in the sense like buyers want to move into a neighborhood. They like the house, but if the neighborhood is not what they want, especially like suppose Angela, like for example, like a family is moving down from some other state. The first thing they look at is like a good school district, right? Similarly, there are some neighborhoods where people would like to move either because it is close to one of the commercial properties like strip like malls and all, or it is close to all the offices. It's like close to downtown, something like that. So as an investor, when you're looking at a property, um, you already have your checklist of what are the deal breakers in a deal. If a lead passes through that, the next thing you should look at is this neighborhood something that people are they're wanting to move, or they are not interested to move here? Because if you don't get into an area which is highly desirable, you may have to reduce the price once you're done with the project because if it ends up sitting longer in the market. So that's why you need to identify the neighborhood before you start looking at the type of rehab that house needs. So for this, what I would do is I will use Zillow's freehand tool and I will try to create a small neighborhood myself using the boundaries like busy roads, train tracks, or water bodies. But I'll also keep in mind that the type of houses in that neighborhood are same. Like I don't want to include mobile homes along with the regular subdivisions next to each other. I will try to draw only the subdivision because I'm looking at single family house. I'm not looking at mobile homes. If I'm looking at mobile homes, I'll do the other way. I'll make sure like I'll include them and not the single family houses. So the goal is to true like mind pocket, not arbitrary radius. So why I use Zillow and I don't use MLS drawn circles is exactly the same reason. Like if in MLS, you have an option to get the report of all the recent sales done in a particular radius, like 0.25 or 5, zero point 0.5 miles. That is where I have seen like neighborhoods typically change when there is a major road. When I say major road, it has two-way traffic or there is a yellow line passing or more than 10,000 vehicles going in that neighborhood. The characteristics of the neighborhoods will definitely be different. And when you're comping a property on this side of the road, you cannot take a comp property on the other side. It may not be equal all the time. And since you're not an agent, you're not an expert in that neighborhood because you're an investor, right? As an investor, you need to pick good properties no matter where they are. So all you're doing is trying to filter out as much as you can. So one of the best metric I found is by using sales velocity by drawing this custom map and then looking at the properties in that particular neighborhood. Okay, so this concept may be a little um, complex for you to imagine. I will go through the live deal so that you'll understand what I'm talking about. And once I have my custom neighborhood, then I'll try to identify the number of properties that are currently active and sold in last 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months. So the currently active tells me, what is the competition right now. But again, I am looking at the active as of today. I'll not be listing the property today. I'll be listing the property in 6 months down the line. And the actives may not really matter how many are there, as long as I know that the neighborhood is hot and people are moving in there and the houses are moving fast. So how do I know houses are moving fast in that neighborhood? I check the past holds of 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months. For example, um, if last 12 months, 12 houses are sold in that neighborhood, and 6 months, six, 3 months, three, that tells me like at least one buyer is buying a house in that neighborhood every month. I like it. Okay. So there is a consistent pattern that people are moving into that neighborhood. That's why you're able to see the sales in that duration. And I try to identify the pattern like, is it steady? Is it declining? Or is it growing? I like steady neighborhoods, but again, this is not a filtering criteria for me. This just gives me an idea like, okay, this neighborhood is hot and I should really dig into this property more to find if this is something I want to buy. Okay. And then comes the 90-day test. So I have identified my custom neighborhood and I check the pattern of how many are active, how many are sold in last 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months. I check the pattern. I have an idea like, okay, the people are moving in the neighborhood. But as an investor, I want my money faster in the sense like once I buy the property, it takes 4 to 6 months for me to rehab the house. And then once I list it, even if the property gets locked up on the second day, it still takes 30 days because the bank has to process the loan. They have to go through the appraisal. And buyers have to arrange the financing and all. So it takes 30 days for me to close the property. So I'm looking at 6 months plus another month or month and a half, maybe 2 months. So if you, for a property to be sold successfully at your listed price and not being forced to reduce the price because you're not getting enough attention, you need to focus on what is happening in the last 6 months in that particular neighborhood. So for that, I came up with this 90-day test. So what will happen is I look at all the 6 months sold properties. I'll open each of them in Zillow and I will calculate the number of days between listed and sold. Okay. If it is listed on January 1st, sold on March 30th, that is 90 days. I will count as one. If the property is not sold on MLS but sold off market directly to an investor, I don't count it. So why this works is uh, till this point, I did not look at the condition of the property. I did not talk about the price of the property. Okay. I'm just looking at how good the neighborhood is, how hard the neighborhood is, where people are moving in. So what are the sales numbers telling me? And out of them, how many are sold in less than 90 days? So my criteria for sales velocity test is if the property is sold under 90 days and if that count is more than half of 6 months sold. Suppose six properties are sold in 6 months, out of them four are sold under 90 days. That's a win for me. I like the neighborhood. That is when I'll go and try to find out how much I should pay for the property. If it is not, I'll ignore. Any questions? Okay.
So what you're saying, Jay, is that the median time to sell the property is a deciding factor.
For me, yes. Because I don't know the neighborhood. I have my W2 job. I don't have time to go and check or, even though I have MLS access, I don't know the local factors that play into a particular house or a neighborhood. Rather than I'm relying on this to filter as much as I can.
Okay. Do you use deal source to see
Nope,
what's happening also?
nope,
No?
nope. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you go through this method, you really don't need any tools because tools, it all depends on how the person who configured the tool is thinking about. I don't want that bias in my results. I just want my own perspective. Once I have an idea, I will go and verify with other professionals or other tools. Okay. Because a wholesaler sending me a deal, that means like he already found a motivated seller. He negotiated the price with them, and then he's trying to send it to me. So as a buyer, as an investor, my role is just to say yes or no to a deal, right? So the hard work is already done. Now, because my money is more important for me, no matter how cheap it is always hard. It is easy to buy things than sell. So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I
Yes.
want to find something I can sell in future, and I'm trying to avoid as much as I can, which will not help that sale in future.
Mhm.
Okay. Jenny, you may be right. Like maybe DealSource has some data, but as of now, I'm not looking into that because I want to like typically right now I'm getting like 30 to 40 leads a day, and I'm getting like 4 or 5 properties that pass the sales velocity check and then sit in my inbox, which I have to go through and determine the offer price that I need to offer to the buyer, to the wholesaler.
To the wholesale.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So regarding like somebody who's not an agent, this helps a lot because these are napkin numbers. We call them napkin numbers, wherein how do you determine the ARV is like you already have your custom neighborhood. So you already selected the 6 months properties. From there, just filter by plus or minus 200 square feet. If the house is like 1200 square feet, try to look at the properties of 1000 and 1500. Out of them, make sure like you're comping with the right comp in the sense like if the house has a pool, your subject property has a pool, the comp also should have a pool, vice versa. And one little hack I found it really helpful is, especially like we are in Tampa Bay, we use Stellar MLS, and MLS stopped publishing old pictures. Like if the house is sold, they're removing all the pictures from the Zillow listing, but they are present in the MLS. So once I realized that, I asked one of my agent friend, and I told him like, dude, I really don't want your access, but is there any way you can give me some kind of an access where I can just use it for comps? Then he said like, yeah, I can register you as an assistant. So he can add you as his assistant. So you don't have to have a license. You will have your own account and you need to pay, I think, around like 300 or 400 a year for that view only MLS access. And that helped me tremendously because once I determine that area is good, the house, uh, for then I need to determine like what type of rehab the neighborhood houses are being sold for. So for that, I need to see the old pictures, and I'm able to get that using MLS access. Okay. So people who are not agents, try to find out with your agent friends if they can add you as assistants, and that will help you in comping properties. If your MLS doesn't allow Zillow to keep the old pictures, like sold pictures. And once you determine the once you identified basically like once I select the properties, all I'll do is like in Zillow, I select high to low and try to see the highest sold property because there are two types of houses. I mean, three types of houses that are typically sold. One is a new build, which is completely from ground up. Everything is brand new, which are typically priced 20% above the normal sale price. Then you have rehabbed houses, which are which the house the investor has done major updates like updating the kitchen, bathroom, and floors in paint, and repairing any HVAC or flooring roof issues. And then the third category of houses that are sold are typically the updated or well-kept houses. In the sense like sellers, they bought it like 3, 4 years back, and now they're relocating, so they're selling it. The house looks recently good, but it's not brand new or updated. So for me, what I realized is like if you select your area and you selected the like property selection, if you just flip the sorting by high to low, you can always go with the first one, but there can be exceptions. Again, as I said, like your team will have an agent. All you're doing is trying to get the property that you think can work to them. So even if you make a mistake here, they'll be able to correct it. So at this stage, it's fine. Like once you identify that neighborhood is good and you did the comp, even if you go blindly, you will still have another check to make sure like you don't buy something you're not supposed to, or you don't overpay for that. So that's what I do. Like again, like high sold price only counts as a comp if ERV of the comp is genuine and quality rehab, not a simple cosmetic update. Just remember that. Okay. So at this point, we are done from our analysis. Everything has we are able to do it by sitting on a computer. But as I said, as an investor, you may not have an idea like what is going in the on the ground in a particular neighborhood. Like for example, Saint Pete, no matter I mean, Saint Pete has very good sales, and I'm seeing a lot of investors where they're able to uh, get the 6-digit profit in a Saint Pete deal than in Tampa. Tampa also has some pockets like South Tampa, which is really, really hot right now. But if you come close to like USF or something like that, you're not able to find that kind of a margin. You will have to stick with like 10 or 12% of the ARV. So till now, the process is you have a system in place, you have your buy box, you filtered as much as you can, then whatever are remaining, you calculated the sales velocity. And once out of that sales velocity, you identified like a property with the ARV. Now it is time for you to take it to the actual professionals like agents, contractors, and lenders to make sure like th- they also agree with your numbers, or they tell you like how much they think the property will be once property's worth will be once you sell once you buy it and rehab and sell it. Okay, so let's go over the core team. So you need to have an agent in your team, and then followed by contractor, hard money lender, wholesalers, and attorneys and bookkeepers. So attorneys and bookkeepers, they are more like uh, you don't really need them like per deal, but they are more like attorney will guide you through the contract once you're ready to close. And bookkeeper is important because nobody can flip the houses forever with their own money. They are at some point in time they need to borrow from investors, and for that they will the first question they'll ask you is how much money you made in your last flip. Can I see those numbers? So it is always good to keep a bookkeeper and organize your finances. And I don't use QuickBooks. I use something called waveapps.com, which is free. All I have to do is like I don't get the
What is
leads.
it again?
Waveapps.com.
Oh, Wave. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So it will, you may have to manually do it, but since in a real estate transaction, you barely have like maybe two or three transactions or maybe four a month, it'll be easy for me to hire a bookkeeper for like $100, $150 overseas and make them do it for me. And then the wholesalers. Most of the success I'm getting wholesalers is through Facebook Marketplace. But you also need to remember one thing about these wholesalers. There are two types of wholesalers. One wholesaler is called big box wholesalers, in the sense like New Western, 21 Property Group, um, 27 Properties and all. So what they do is like, even though they have their own callers to lock up the deals, they mostly work with other wholesalers who locked up the deal and they need dispo company to sell the deals. So when you're looking at a deal, most 9 out of 10 times the deal may not work for you at your numbers because the wholesaler will have their own profit of maybe 10 to 15 or maybe sometimes $20,000 on the seller price. And this big buy box, this um, New Western, they'll also add their own fee onto the top of it. And as an investor, you'll be the one who will be paying like 30 or 40,000 on top of what seller is getting. Okay. So keep in mind, so far, more than 50% of the deals I did, I actually bought them from these big box buyers. They are not from mom and pop or somebody who just started. It takes time for those mom and pop wholesalers to come to you and get you the deal. That is where you actually make money. But you need to understand, like, even though some people, especially this new Western and all, they send you a deal, and within like maybe 20 to 40 minutes or maybe 1 hour, they'll send another email saying that the property is already sold. In the sense, like, they are targeting people who do like 20 to 30 flips a year. As a starting person, you're not the target. So my suggestion is ignore them. Like even if they say like this deal is sold, technically what happened is somebody said yes to the deal. And the way I bought them is after 15, 20 days, that buyer dropped out and they came back to me asking like if I'm still interested at the number that I wanted. I said yes, and I ended up buying it. Okay. So wholesalers will tend to rush you. Be careful. Don't give in to their numbers or don't even think about the comps that they give you. They're always inflated. Okay. The next person, important person is hard money lender. So this person is the one who would say yes to a deal and write a check. So typically what will happen is any hard money lender, they'll always have their own underwriters. The moment you send a deal, they will go through their numbers and they'll tell you if that is something they will fund the deal or not. Nobody want to lose money. So especially the market is a little tighter nowadays. So most of the hard money lenders are trying to be as conservative as they can instead of saying yes to every deal that is coming there across, no matter how much experience you have. I'm hearing it more and more these days. And GC and contractor, even GC also, there are two types of GCs. One is called full service GC, wherein you tell them like, hey, I'm buying this property and I want you to manage end to end. I don't want to get involved in, coordinating with the subs or anything or buying material or anything. You do everything. Hard money lender will release the money in draws. I will advance you some money. Once that is done, you let me know what tasks are done. I will let the hard money lender know. They will send somebody to take pictures and send a report. And based on that report, they'll release the money. Whatever money I get, I'll give it to you. So it goes on cycle. One, that prevents you from coming up with lots of money upfront. Two, it makes them uh, answerable to somebody because if they ruin my project, the hard money lender will make a note of it and put them on blacklist, and they would make sure like none of their other borrowers are going to work with this contractor again. And then there will be other investors who understand how this works and they're part of some groups or something and they'll be able to get the subcontract, like suppose the house needs flooring, They can always say like, hey, I'm looking for a flooring guy. Do you have anybody in their private networks? And they'll be able to get a referral and they'll be able to manage that job by themselves. The difference between full service and doing your own sub management is that GC will be little higher price than doing it yourself. But the trade-off is you have to do it yourself, or you need to have a virtual assistant who will be able to coordinate between all the subs, make sure like they show up and do a good job. So that's a trade-off. But my suggestion, since none of you have any done any deal, like when I say like haven't done a deal, at least you need to do 10 deals before you understand all these concepts. So till then, you're just a somebody who's starting new, so a newbie. So I would recommend stick with the full service GC who would do end to end. So right now I'm working with somebody in Tampa. His name is Alex Miranda, and he gave me the quotes for like 65 per square feet for a moderate rehab. In the sense like if the house needs just bathroom updates and kitchen updates, he told me like to use 65 per square feet. If it needs full rehab, like you need to move the walls and other stuff, he told me to go with 85 per square feet. So when I'm underwriting or when I'm looking at a deal and trying to negotiate with the wholesaler, I will use these napkin numbers for my rehab and then open a dialogue with them. Okay. So as Angela was saying, like she had a very bad experience with the contractor, even though she did everything that everybody tells them to do. Like she went through referrals, she checked their past work, she made sure that the contract is good with an attorney, but still she ended up with a bad product. That is because, in my experience, like whatever I heard is like 2, 3 years, contractors also get burned out because of you know, the work they have to keep up every day, and it just happens. All you have to do is like be mindful of that, keep a close eye on the work they are doing, and if you suspect like they are not performing up to the code, try to have a replacement and fire this person. Okay. And coming to agent, I actually use Zillow to tell me who are the good agents. How do I do it? So there is a feature called Find an Agent. So I'll go there and then I will try to filter top agents, and then I look for people who are not working as a team but as an individual. And my filtering criteria is if they have done 12 plus deals in a year, at least 12 deals. That means they are selling one house a month. Okay. Once I shortlist like 5 or 10 of those people, then I'll go and see how many of them are represented by sellers, and of those, how many are sold in less than 90 days. Why this matters is if they sold, if they're able to sell the house in less than 90 days, that means they know how to price it right. As an investor, you are borrowing 80 to 90% of your for the whole project money from a hard money lender, and you are supposed to pay 1% interest every month for that money that you borrowed. So it is in your best interest to make sure that the agent is competent enough that they know how to price it right so that the property moves faster. Okay. You don't want somebody just because like you told them like, hey, I bought this, I overpaid for this property. I'm looking at this price. I mean, you can always give your input, but the agent should show you like, okay, these are the properties that are similar to our property, the similar rehab. They are sold at this price. My strong recommendation is this. So I would rather work with somebody who tells me that I'm wrong or my baby is ugly or I overpaid rather than trying to stick to my number and sitting on the market and then forcing to reduce the price and same time paying interest to the hard money lender, because that actually creates bad impression with the hard money lender and he may not actually qualify you for the next deal. And I also look at how close they are to their listing price. Have they ended up dropping more than 5% or are they close to their listing price? And I don't look at it like a strict metric, but I'll consider all these factors before shortlisting and giving them a call and trying to understand like how they work. Um, Suppose like out of 12, 6 are seller represented. Out of them, 5 they're able to sell under 90 days and close to the listing price. They'll get my first phone call. Okay. Why this is important is, as an investor, you need to go where the opportunity is. It doesn't matter even if that property is only in Tampa or if it is in Miami or Orlando or out of state. It doesn't matter. So I have two, actually out of four out of state properties, two are right now active. Like one I just sold, other one is under contract. Both of them, I found agent this method. And going in the Pittsburgh property, I know it just needs paint carpet because we saw the report and all the mechanicals are intact. And I started with the agent, and this agent actually helped me to get the contractor to work on the house. Okay, so that's why this method is important and it gives you results, because even the agents also they get burned out after like 4 or 5 years in the field. So that time you can always go and talk to your fellow investor. Sometimes they give you good agents, sometimes it not. But no matter who gives, I found like if their numbers on Zillow are showing like they are about 12 plus deals a day, 12 plus deals a year, they're actually able to list it right and sell it faster, which is important for me. Any questions on this?
Yeah, Jay, that would matter if the investor is realistic, like you. Some of them
You
are
will
not
be,
realistic. They
that's what
want
I'm
what they
saying.
want.
The hard money lender will make sure you're realistic, honestly. Like if you're dealing with retail buyers, you will encounter that behavior, but not
Yeah.
with investors. Like if they're seasoned, they know, they understand this. Okay. So then comes the bigger elephant in the room, like how much do I offer, and should I even offer on this property that wholesaler has sent? So I try to go with the 70% rule, which is like ARV into zero point 0.7 minus rehab cost. Remember, I told you that my GC told me like to go with 65 or 85 square feet. I use this here. I get the property size in like Zillow or from the realtor or the wholesaler email. And then ARV, um, I determine the ARV in this slide. So once I selected my custom area and I used high to low, I picked the first one. That is how I know, okay, this property is sold for this much in last 6 months. So I can use that as a reference and I do my math based on that. So I determine the ARV, I use 70% rule, and then I came up with a number. Typically what I'll do is like, I look at how much the wholesaler want that for that property. And if my offer price is 10 to 20% of what they are asking, like if they want 100K and my math is telling me not to offer more than 80K, that is when I'll open a dialogue with them and tell them like, hey, I'll not be able to offer you 100K, but I'm close enough. Do you have any room for negotiation? Okay. 99 out of 100 deals, I would say no. And that 1%, one deal I got yes. That is how I locked up the deals. Never ever overpay when you're buying. Sometimes there are situations where I did not stick to 70, but I went up to 75, but it all depends on the deal and the neighborhood. For you to start with it 70% and see that where the wholesaler is and try to tell them like, hey, I'm interested, definitely, but I'm not going to pay you the money that you are asking. Okay. If there is a room for negotiation or if your buyer doesn't perform, I'm close to this number. Okay. So that is how I negotiate and keep the dialogue open. And I would not tell them my number upfront. I'll just tell them like I'm close there, but I'm not going to pay you the whole price. Any questions at this point?
Jay, why not lower than 70%?
You can, but as I said, like so far the deals that I got from wholesalers, everybody knows how to comp, so they always come up with the higher numbers than the actual numbers. If you got it, obviously yes, that's a win-win actually. But as I said, like every day you're going through 30, 40 deals, so you need a quick way to filter out the bad ones or pick the winning ones, and then open a dialogue. Make sure like the wholesaler understands like you are a serious buyer, and then they can come back if the buyer defaults, even if somebody says like they'll pay more. Especially that will happen with the experienced flippers, because they have their own crews, so they need to feed them. So sometimes they end up locking a deal by paying a little more. And then once they lock it up and they go to the hard money lender, then the hard money lender tell them no. That's when they'll tell the wholesaler like they're not able to buy it. So at that time, you should be on top of the wholesaler mind. That's why you need to tell them like you're interested, but you're not going to pay the higher price than what your math tells you. Okay. So that is what I'm talking in this slide, like open a dialogue only if you're within like 10 to 20% of the wholesaler asking price. But don't tell them your number. Just say like, I am in the range, but I'm not going to pay the whole price. Because the moment they hear your lowball number, they will write you off. Okay. And if they say like, yeah, we can work something out, that's when before you reveal the offer, make sure like you confirm with your GC. Usually a good GC can look at a picture, look at all the pictures that the wholesaler sends, and they can tell you reasonably how much the property needs rehab for. Like they'll tell you the number. And once you get this number, I would always make sure like my hard money lender is also in line with it, because they have their own way of underwriting it. So I'll tell them like, hey, I got this lead and Alex thinks this much he needs for the property rehab. What do you think? Most of the time, my underwriter will give me the ARV that I need, and I'll double check with whatever I pulled from MLS on the Zillow. And if both of them are ready, like if both of them agree, that's when I will tell the wholesaler that, yeah, my lender likes it. We'll go ahead and lock this up. But always make sure GC walks the property before you send the EMD. This is important because sometimes the wholesalers don't take all the pictures, or some pictures may be misleading or something. And a physical inspection is actually good, so that they'll be able to tell you if the numbers are still working after the walkthrough. Okay. Why this is important is because all hard money lenders need your personal guarantee on a loan. So you have very less scope for making a mistake, because if you lose money in this business, it will be hard to pull back from that loss. Okay. So when I started doing this, I did it in Excel sheet. I actually have a VA. She works from India for me, and I gave her a separate email address, and I started giving that email address to all the wholesalers. And whenever they send a deal, it will come to that email. She would go through each and email and put it in Excel. Once we have gone through like around 1,000 or 1,500 leads, then I realized like, okay, she understood how to do it manually. That's when I started using Claude and Monday.com to develop a system, and that is a system that we are currently using. And for my numbers, typically I find a deal for every 500 leads. Okay, that is how I found my first deal actually. So let me show you the system that I'm using right now. So I'll also explain how I do my numbers, the ARV and other numbers and all. Let me open the window.
Can you make the screen this part larger that you're
Yeah,
showing us?
good.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. So what will happen is I have Claude, kind of did all the programming. So I have an email called deals@lakecapitalgroup.net. So that's a separate email just for the leads coming in. So the Zapier will monitor my email, and whenever it sees a new email, it will create an item in this particular table, and it'll look like this. So it will put the address here, and then it will create a FEMA link, Google Maps, and Zillow link. Okay. So whenever I get a lead, it will first come into this incoming leads. So what I'll do is, like, usually it only takes like 30 seconds to 1 minute for me. I'll quickly open all these three links. Okay. I check for flood zone. Remember, in my buy box, I don't touch anything other than zone X. So this is zone AE in FEMA map. This is zone X. So this is good. Then I look at the Google satellite view to see if it is in a neighborhood or the type of neighborhood it is in. So clearly this is in a subdivision, which is good. And then I look at the type of property listed in Zillow. Okay. So I don't flip anything other than single family. I don't touch townhomes or condos or anything, because dealing with HOA will be little hard. This particular property also has a HOA, but this is more like subdivision HOA, which are less restrictive, because all you're doing is like working inside the house or getting pulling a permit to replace the roof or something like that. You're not doing anything else. Okay. So for me, all these three checks are passed. So I'll just close these windows and I will move this to the next group, which is basic check passed. Okay. So let's do one more. And this lady is from Columbia, South Carolina. I never flipped it. I don't have a team there, but I just, once you network with wholesalers, no, you don't know who is going to send you what. So for the sake of it, I'll just take a quick look, but mostly I'll just don't act on it. I don't even send them offer letter or anything. I mean, I don't give them offer or anything. Well, this is Zone X. Good. Property is here. Looks like a commercial building. Okay, how do you tell? You can see the services that are listed there. So this is not something, this is not a single family. So you won't even get anything here. So in this case, I'll just delete the lead instead of working on it. Just come here, delete, gone. So I go to the next one. So here, somebody didn't provide the address. They just said like the property is in Hillsborough. So there is nothing I can do about this. I'll just ignore it. And the next one is Indianapolis. Here again, like I never did a deal in Indianapolis, but since I am part of some groups, somebody got it and they just keep sending me deals. As of now, I'm ignoring it. This is St. Pete. Let's see this deal. You see here, this property, this is zone X. This is zone X 500. This is zone A. So you can see the color coding down here. As I said, like some investors would say, or the wholesalers will say, no, this is not zone A. You can always buy it. But for me, remember, like last year, there were floods in Texas, the Misty Camp or something. That property is actually in zone X 500. Nobody expected it to be flooded like that. So I don't want insurance agents or insurance companies to give that excuse and jack up the insurance prices and held up my sale. So rather, I would just avoid it right now. So I would just go here, See, once I determine that it is in flood zone, I'm not even checking anything else. I just come here and I mark it as X500. That's it. So what will happen is once I mark this, this Monday has some kind of automations in the back end, like these are the automations. It will load it into this particular section. Yeah, yeah, here. This is the one we just analyzed. And this will also send an email to the wholesaler saying that we are not interested to buy this property because it is in flood zone. So it kind of sends a um, feedback back to the wholesaler so that they know like we looked at it and we are rejecting because of this. Most of them will ignore, but at least they acknowledge that you are actually looking into a deal. Okay. Um, let's go to the Orlando one. Again, I don't have any cruise in Orlando, but for the sake of it, let's just analyze this deal. Okay, Zone X, good. Okay, this looks like a good house with a pool. That is good. But sometimes I also do a street view to make sure, like, especially you'll see this problem in Atlanta. Like, some houses in the back, you'll have these high power transmission lines going, and some buyers have that, their objection in their head, like, if the high transmission is going, that means either you hear the buzzing sound 24 by 7, or some people think like it will cause cancer and they don't want to move there. So just to make sure like I'm not buying something like that, I take a 360 degrees view, and then you know it also gives me an idea like if there is a yellow line on this road, that means it's a high traffic area and the Department of Transportation has spent money to create a marking of yellow lines to tell the public that this is a high traffic area, so be mindful. So that'll also tell me like I should not buy in this neighborhood because that is one of my buy box criteria where I don't want to buy in a busy road. So far looks good. Zone X. It's not on a busy road. Looks like a decent neighborhood. And this is a single family. So I'll just qualify this lead to my next level. Okay. Let's look at this Bradenton deal. Probably this is the one we will do the full underwriting. Um, okay, Zone X, good. Okay. So if this house is here, if you see here, right, like this looks like a busy road and this looks like a commercial property, I would have avoided it if it is 2524. But since this is the other side of the road and the back of the house is another house and everything is surrounded by houses, I don't mind. I'm not using that as a filtering criteria. Okay, so I'll keep this and let me do a quick street view. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So this is the house. So looks like a decent neighborhood. And this is a single family. Good. So let's analyze this property and determine the year before this. Okay. So FEMA, I already passed it, so I don't have to worry about it. Um, I need the neighborhood. Yeah. So this step, I'm trying to do the sales velocity map. Okay. So what I'll do is like I'll first identify where the property is. Um, so the property is here. So this is the 9th Avenue West and 26th Avenue West. Um, And then looks like this is a major road, 17th. So I will try to draw something like this. I'll use these as the edges and try to see the sales in this area. Okay, the criteria is usually if it is a busy road, you'll have this bus stop symbols, right? And here is a water. So either I can go up to here or I can do here because not many houses are here. Okay, so just let me, this is below 60 and 26,000. Okay, let's go to Zillow. Yeah, this is 64, right? Okay, this is 64 and 26 straight. So here it is. So usually I'll do is like I'll just change the filter so that I have very less property city showing. I'll just change it to 1 day, but I'll have a better map. And I use this remove boundary and draw. Okay, let's double check 19th and 17th. Okay, 19th and 17th. Yes. Yeah. So the same neighborhood can be here and here. I don't know for sure unless I'm living there or I'm talking to a couple of agents. But for now, I'm just trying to find the smallest area I can using the natural boundaries, like a busy road and a water body. Okay, so this is my neighborhood that I'm trying to check the sales. So first I'll check active. So I'll just select as. So I have 4 active listings in this neighborhood. Okay, so now I go to sold. Let me see how many are sold in 12 months. Yeah, 21. Okay, 6, 13. So 21 half is 11, but 11 plus 2, that's fine. So it is still in pattern. And then 3 months, 7. So half of 7 is 13 is 6.5, which is 7. So 21, 13, 7. There is a pattern there. So that means like every month, at least 1 or 2 houses are moving in this neighborhood. I like it. Okay. Now let's go back to 6 months. I typically do this, because it will be much easier for me. In Tampa Bay area, the MLS is Stellar MLS. So if the property is sold in MLS, you will have a small logo here. So these 2 are sold off market. So out of 13, 2 are not sold. So I don't have any data. For me, like I'll just ignore these 2. So the remaining 11, I want to see how many of them are sold in 90 days. So at this point, I typically open every listing in this. I'm not even checking like if the subject property is of the same size or anything like that. I'm just first checking the sales data. So let's scroll down here. It is listed in May 8th, sold in 20 days. So I count this. So 1. What was the second one? So February and March. So 2, because this is 90 days, less than 90 days. This is off market. So I don't count this. This is also off market. So far I have 2. Okay, 12, 25, and 130. So these are like 2 months. 1.5, 45 days basically. So I'll count this 3. Right, 5, 5, 6, 26. So 4, 6, same month. So 5, right. So this is the thing that I'm talking about. So this is listed on November 10th, but sold in June. So that means like 7 months. Um, if you really want to know like why it took so much time, because they overpriced it. They listed it 480, they ended up selling at 405. So this is the problem. Like if you don't try to list it right, it'll sit. So I'm not counting this. Fine. Okay. 4 and 6. 6, because this is less than 390 days. 'Okay. So this is the thing that I'm talking about. Like this is 115 and 417. This is 92 days. I would still consider this. Okay. So this is 7, 8. So February and April. So if you look at the 13 that are sold, 8 of them are sold in less than 90 days. I like it. Okay. So this is the point where I would shortlist it. Now my next job is to find the ERV of this. So I'll go back to the subject property. See, this is 32 1968 square feet. Okay. I come back here. I change the filter, square footage, 1750 to 2000, or I can go to 1750 to 2200. So right now, the listing that I got, this is off market. So this, I cannot have this comp. This could be like maybe some investor bought this and maybe right now they're rehabbing it. You can see, yeah, this is purchased like last month. So probably they'll be able to list it again in like maybe like a month or two. We don't know. So this is not my comp. This is when I'll go back and adjust my filters. Okay, so I have this 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 22, 28, but my subject property is 3 to 1968. So this is the time where I would talk to an agent to figure out how much I need to offer, because obviously 700 is very high price. We don't know the condition at which this was sold or what is the true characteristics of it. But if you have MLS access, you can always go back and check, because the property is sold, you only have one picture. There is nothing else here. So you don't know what is the type of rehab done in this house. So I have MLS here. So I'll just enter the MLS ID. I can go and check how much actually they paid for this property, and yeah, 22, yeah, 21, they bought it for 377, and I think they rehabbed and sold it in for 600K in 22. So that tells me like this is not a rehab house, rather this is a well-kept house. So we can see the pictures and determine that. Okay, here is the thing. This is why they paid 700, because it has a pool on it. Our subject property, I don't think it has a pool. Where is ours? Usually Zillow will list it if the house has a pool. So you can just scroll down here. It doesn't have a pool. So you can actually go back to the filters and remove. Okay, this doesn't have an option to remove. Okay. So clearly this is not the subject property. So what I would do is like I would just remove the minimum and see and then sort these by high to low and then go from here. So clearly this is not the price. 1429, 1584, 1632. So out of them, this seems to be more closer, but let's come from here and see like why somebody paid 455 for this house. So this analysis, you will get it over time. The more properties you look at, the more easy it will be for you, but you have to start somewhere. That's why it is better to have an agent who can teach you how to do this. That will also help you a lot. Um, yeah, this also looks like they rehabbed in like 2021. And usually the house is well maintained. One giveaway is they really don't want to show their bathrooms, but these people are doing it actually. So you can read the description to figure out like if the house is like well kept or are they trying they did any rehabs. Yeah, this is updated open kitchen concept. I think they did update, but they're not talking about like when they did it. Okay. So I could reasonably take this as my comp number, ERV 455, and then do my math. So in this case, the house has 1968 into 65 is like 127K, and 455 into 0.7 is like 318 minus 127K. It's like 191K. So your offer should be around like 200K for this property. Got it? So typically my VA, what she'll do is like, she'll say like ARV or 455, and she'll put this address also in there so that I can come back and refer how she came up. And I would typically say like rehab 125, purchase price 200K. So I'm going by 70% ERV minus rehab cost. This ERVs. Okay. So that's how I shortlist. Once this is shortlisted, I'll make sure like my GC thinks 125 is the price. And if he says yes, I'll double check with my hard money lender, and then I'll open a dialogue with the wholesaler if he is asking like 225 or something like that. If he is like 300, I'm not wasting my time. I have this in my system, but I'm not going to, make myself like a lowball offer guy who always tries to lowball. If it is 10 to 20%, they'll also understand and we can go from there. Any questions?
So technically, a good rule of thumb is like 50% off the ARV.
If it depends on the market, like if the market is competitive, you will rarely get those. You may end up seeing that number, but don't go by that, is all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Okay.
I have one that I was looking at
Mhm.
direct to seller listed.
Okay.
Someone else was looking at it and reached out to me. I was wondering if you can take a look.
Sure, I will. Let me just fill this up so that
Okay. So you would consider this property that you're working
yeah,
on, that you did just now?
yeah, I would consider this, yes. I would make an offer if the price is right. Okay, give me the property address. You can put it in chat.
I'll tell it to you.
Hmm.
It's 1881 Northwest 36th Street, Oakland Park, Florida, 33309.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it.
so I don't know your buy box, so I'm thinking you don't really need to worry about flood zones. This is on canal. It'll obviously be next to the, it'll be in flood zone.
Let's see.
Can you see the screen or should I increase it?
Increase it, please.
Okay. In your market, this is not a big deal. I understand that because Solo, South Florida is under flood zones. So for now, I'm ignoring it. Okay. So I'm just directly going for the sales rehab calculation. So this is single family good. Okay. Let's see where this property is. It's 816, 39. It's 95. Okay. So I would probably draw something
Yeah, right
like
there.
this
Right there.
area. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is open park. This is 95, right? And this is the right. So
Yeah, you want to be before 95 because it is before 95.
yeah,
That
and the
small
property is
area.
here. The property is
Yeah,
here.
that small
So
area. Right.
yep. So I'm going to use these, and since this is a park, I'm just stopping it here.
Right.
So this is our comp area. So let's see how many are active. We have 12 active, which is a little higher,
Mhm.
but it's not, let's qualify that. 2 months, 25, okay, 16, okay,
90 days.
7, 25, 16, 7.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a pattern, but Jan to June, they sold more houses. Okay, then like in the winter. Okay, let's just
Mhm.
ignore the fact for now. Okay, let's go through all these 16 listings and see how many of them are sold in less than 90 days. So November 25 to 7 months, okay, off market. See, here's the trick. Like, remember in MLS, they always say like unless there is 6 month gap, they will include this in a cumulative days on market, right?
Mhm.
So for this, I would start here, November and May. So yep. Okay. So for me, this is the sale date because it's more than 6 months. So this is one. Okay. Oh, anyway, this is a rental. Sorry. So this is sold in like literally a month. So this is good. One. So this, I think we have beaches access, beaches. Yep. So 32 days. This is good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So two, three. Good. So this is, I think they rehab this because it is sold in like March 26, and then after 2 months they listed it again.
Mhm.
So you can ignore this, but if you really want to, yeah, you can ignore because it's no longer, it's already active. It is coming under active, right? So I'll just ignore this. Yeah, good. Four. Mm. It is more than 90 days. So ignore that. Okay. 5, 20 days it's sold, 21 days actually. Fine. 6. Three and 7. 324 and 7. So it is close. It's not exactly 90 days. It's more like 100 days, but
Mm-hmm.
they listed at 6, 760 and ended up selling at 600. So almost like 150K. It's a huge, but for now I'll just include it. 8, because this is close. It's personal choice. Sometimes some people are like, no, I just want to stick to 90 days. Some people are like, close enough. So for now I'm including it. So 7. It's literally sad for 10 months. Okay, so 7. Yeah, it's more than 90 days. Yeah. 8. 9. So out of 16, 9 are sold in less than 90 days. So good area, but as you can see, there are houses at like 400 price point, and then you have one house at 925. So you got to be a little
Yeah, or
careful.
600.
Yeah, you got to be a little careful when you're pricing it. Yeah, area looks good, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
So from here, I mean, of course, you are an agent, so that's why you know. But somebody like me, I'll just do it manually. So if this is sold, yeah, you guys have actually pictures. You can see the type of rehab. So
Mm-hmm.
this is existing house. So I don't think you can count it, but let's see this one. This is also existing
That's
house.
rehab too.
No, this is existing house. You see the design, like nobody uses this anymore, right? They always try to cover
I
it up
know.
nowadays.
Yeah.
In the floor, this looks like most of us use LVPs nowadays. So this is tile
Mm,
that also give away for you. And yeah, this is classic kitchen style. Usually they might
yeah.
not even touch it. They can see the bathrooms to know. Yeah, this is old style.
Dated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dated.
So I think this is rehabbed.
Yeah. This is rehab.
Yep.
This
Yeah,
is
they didn't do
really,
the
really
floor,
nicely
but
done.
yeah, yeah, the vanity and all, they're really good. Yeah. So this you can take it as a comp.
Mm-hmm.
They have put in flow pool picture like every 3, 4 pictures there is a pool. Nice. Okay, so this can be your comp. So how much you think they're asking? 585. This is
Yeah.
more like a retail
This
price.
need a complete rehab. It's hardly, I walked the property. It needs a complete rehab.
Does it have a
Bathrooms,
pool?
no pool.
It'll sit for sure.
This needs a complete gut job.
Yeah,
Bathrooms,
this needs done.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They priced it right, but not for this house. You know what I mean? Like it should be at least like 300, 350. This can move.
What would you, if you had to make an offer, what would you offer?
Simple, same formula. Like my comp is like what, 600, right? So 600,
590, 590.
I mean, they didn't do the floors. Yeah, assume like I did floors, and so I'm getting the 10,000 extra. So 600 into 0.7 is 420. Uh, and this is 15. 1455 into 65 is 194K. So I'll just make it 100. So 320. You're
How
right.
much?
Like it will come to like half the ARV price.
Yeah, that's
Typically,
what I
land are
thought.
buying that. Yeah,
I was thinking
350 maybe, maybe 350.
300.
Now, if you can get it 300, you got a jackpot. But it's always
This
like what?
seller,
Hmm,
yeah, this seller is in a dilemma right now. He's in default right now. He has a hard money loan.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, if the lender agrees 300, that's good. But it is what it is.
yeah, this needs a lot of work. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
I don't even know what a general contractor would estimate the repairs to be.
That's what I'm saying. Like Tampa is also not cheap. So for here, they're going like 65 per square feet. You can just start with that. And if you want, maybe you can ask some contractor to walk and give you the numbers. Usually by pictures, they'll be able to give it to you. You know, unless there is something like a foundation issue or something that is not captured in these pictures. But
Mhm.
typical structure is good. You just need to do interior, especially for the market down there. 65 should be reasonably good.
Okay. Okay.
1500
Yeah, I
into
was
65, you'll
thinking,
get a number.
yeah, maybe rehab with conversion to co-living, probably.
That's a different underwriting, Jenny. You know that. Especially like 1500, that's too small. Again, it is on water. I don't know if you want to put people there.
They
You
might
don't
jump
want
into
that
the water.
liability. You don't want that liability. So,
That was one of the negative things when I walked the property and I saw that water. I said, "Oh, mm-mm." But it's if the number makes sense, you know.
yes. You can always start at 300, probably 350. You even at 350, I think you'll be able to wholesale it for like adding 20,000 on top of it and sell it, you know. Um,
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea. It's not me getting involved.
then
It's the
300,
wholesale.
then
What?
300, 300 maybe 315, so that you can have
What?
20, 30,000 on top of it and sell it to 350
Yeah.
to the whole to the see for investor you have to tell them like, okay, this is the airway, this is the comp property. So again, like the comp that we're looking at, it has pool, this doesn't. So I don't
Yes.
know how they will treat it that. They may say like, no, it's not 600, it can be like say 400, 500 or maybe 550. So usually
Could
new
be.
pool
Yeah.
costs you like 80K. So
There's not enough room for a pool, anyways.
yes, there is no, it's just water.
No,
That's
there's
it.
not. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. This is a toss-up on this one. I don't know.
I
We'll
don't have a
see.
contractor there. If I have, I would have gladly made an offer.
Well, I guess I could maybe find one and see and hear what the numbers are.
It's not
You know,
easy, I mean, numbers,
no, that's
they'll always tell you the numbers, but you need to know, the rehab type they do and if they did any
yes,
issues in the past
yes.
clients and
And
stuff.
of
It takes
course, if
time
they're
for you
good,
to find that.
yeah, and if they're good contractors, like we hear, so many horror stories, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Insight is
You're
great. Um,
welcome.
I gotta I gotta run though. There's something else I need to get done in the next couple
Of
of
course, and
minutes.
thank you
Yeah,
for joining the call and asking the questions. So I appreciate it.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna reach out though if whatever, if
Sure,
it's this or another one.
sure,
Yeah. All right.
of course.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yep,
much.
you're welcome. Thank you. Um, Shekhar, you have any questions?
No, Jay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Let's wrap up the call. And thank you for joining. And if any deals you want me to take a look, just let me know, and I'll quickly see and tell you what I think, and we can go from there. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Bye.